Please welcome CEO Routehappy, Robert Albert.
Well, the AV guy just told me that Routehappy is the company that he's been looking for his whole life, so how happy does that make me? Good morning. Let's face it, many of us are ambivalent about air travel. Air ticket flights are too hard to buy, airline products are overly complex, we've had mixed experiences flying, and we are bombarded constantly by the media talking about miserable flyers on packed planes. But still, it's really important. So several years ago, I embarked on a mission to differentiate air travel. My mom was my biggest skeptic. Bobby, what are you doing? It's all about price. But I started to point out all of the different aspects of the experience, like the airport, and the aircraft, and the seat, and the amenities, and the food, and the service. And she ultimately agreed that she cared about those things even more than she was leading on. So why am I here today? I've learned that despite conventional wisdom, flight shopping is not only about price, and there's a big opportunity to create value in this industry by helping flyers and airlines differentiate flight shopping. So I wanted to share some ideas with you. Do you remember when coffee was not a phenomenon? When we used to just drink it as fuel to start the day and it was low cost? My parents even drank decaffeinated instant Sanka and thought it was good. Some of you still may do that. Today, coffee is completely transformed. It is now a highly differentiated, high-value product that defines many of our lives. People savor and cherish the experience of coffee, the origins, the roasting methods, the brewing methods, the drink types, where they drink it, who they drink it with, how they drink it. My own experience, and we also pay a lot of money for it. My own experience and awakening with coffee happened in a very unusual place, on an airplane. I was on a very early morning shuttle flight to Boston, and I ordered a decaf coffee with skim milk. The flight attendant looked down on me incredulously and said, "Why bother?" From that moment on, I started exploring coffee, and I love it so much more now. So let's take a look at flight shopping. Undifferentiated, and it's basically about price and schedule, as if that's the only thing that matters. We often just believe that what is placed in front of us is all that matters. But the reality is that if you even care a little bit about the product, you have to go to external sources to find information and sort of triangulate the data. But let's think about this for a second. What's the first question that someone asks you when you arrive from a trip? How was your flight? That usually unleashes a torrent of comments, some positive, some negative, rarely indifferent. We, as consumers, love to analyze and evaluate every aspect of the airline experience. Entire meals consumed with friends just swapping airline stories. Okay, cost and price is really important. And that's just the fact. We all agree to that. But in a competitive industry, if the consumers in that industry perceive the product as basically only being about price, there's a problem. Commoditization is a big challenge for airlines. Every day, they have to compete on price, often to the detriment of their own profitability. That in turn causes them to make up for the famine by raising prices at times when they can, and frankly making consumers very unhappy with prices that they perceive to be too high. What about flyers? Well, on one hand, low prices are fantastic. Everyone likes cheap prices. But our industry has a false belief that the only thing that matters is price. If that was true, we'd all be flying Spirit. The reality is that commoditization is bad for flyers because to some extent, we all care, or most of us care, about the experience. We don't consider this product the same as, say, buying gas. Commoditization is bad for flyers because it doesn't allow us to compare features of the product of expensive products like business class or international flights. Commoditization is bad for flyers because it doesn't allow us to find innovations that we care about, like flights with the fastest Wi-Fi, with better food, with more comfortable seats, with more movies. It's bad for flyers because it doesn't allow us to differentiate the experience to turn it into something that we want, like hanging out in a lounge with a noodle bar, for example. Businesses don't want to be commoditized if they can help it. And thinking about our own purchase decisions as consumers in every other industry, we don't like spending good money on products without good information that helps us make informed decisions. Most of us would probably not spend $500 on a 2-night hotel stay or a television without doing extensive product research. But in this industry, we're forced to spend $1,500 on a 24-hour international flight without that information. And the reason is simple, it's just not presented to us. Some industries differentiate very well, like hotels. Hotels and their distributors are smart. They focus on differentiating their products and getting customers excited to buy them. They provide relevant information so that customers can appreciate their products and compare them. They invest in creating differentiated experiences, like we just heard, so that customers create an emotional connection. Probably the last time that you booked a hotel, by the time you booked it, you knew the amenities, you had seen the photos, and you had read the descriptions. Now, to be sure, there is a difference between hotel stays and flights. But does it really make sense that hotel shopping should be rich and differentiated, while flight shopping should be reduced to just price and schedule? That would sort of be like hotel shopping just being based on price and location, something that I think most of us would agree is unimaginable. But it's changing. Airlines are differentiating their products and services. And it may have started, and flyers are responding to that differentiation. They're buying into it. It may have started with checked baggage, but as this chart from Atmosphere Research shows, businesses are increasingly reimbursing optional services in air travel, including food, Wi-Fi, extra legroom, and cabin upgrades. Airlines themselves are transforming. They are building functionality on their own direct channels to offer differentiated products and tickets. In this example, United now broadly offers cabin upgrades, which are often a good deal. You may think that this is totally obvious. Why haven't they always been doing this? But pricing philosophies in airlines and technology didn't allow this to exist so broadly until recently. Distributors on their side have realized that they let their air paths linger for just too long. So now large and small OTAs, metas, and corporate booking tools are all prioritizing merchandising initiatives, such as adding ancillaries, upsells, and merchandising content into flight shopping. At the core of this is integrating dynamic offers and rich targeted content into flight shopping results at the point of sale where it matters most. What I'm talking about here is when you're shopping for a flight, you'll find out exactly what you're going to get: your airport, your aircraft, your cabin, your seat, even the time of day. Even differentiation content is getting integrated into our core infrastructure. Sabre is integrating airline-rich content using my company's Routehappy hub, which is a merchandising content for flight shopping. Amadeus and Travelport also have extensive product differentiation efforts, either in market or in development. So airlines and distributors are realizing something that other industries have known all along, that providing customers differentiated products with relevant information that they use to make the best decisions for themselves is actually the best and winning strategy. This is allowing airlines to offer the right service, the right experience, or the right product to them at the right time. And airlines and distributors are using this to advance their businesses. It should be no surprise that flyer shopping behavior is changing. Even the integration of basic amenity data into flight shopping is having a material positive impact on conversion. And what we are seeing at rich content even extends that impact further. What we're seeing at Routehappy is that the integration of rich content has caused and up to 95% click-through in large-scale flight shopping applications, and over 40% referral improvement from airlines that are using rich content. So they're using rich content to expand the pie and create value. The airline revenue picture is changing as well, as airlines move from selling standard seats to base products with optional services. This year, airlines will generate almost $60 billion in ancillary revenue, which is about 8% of the total. And this figure, the revenue is growing more than 20% a year. There, in fact, has actually never been a wider range of options available to flyers, and they range from the most bare bones to the most luxurious that have ever been offered. It's a virtuous circle, because the more that airlines differentiate their products, the more flyers are taking them up on those products, because that's actually what they want. To make all of this work, it requires a lot of new technology. So there's a crop of new companies that you may have heard of, but you may not know what they do. Fairlogics, Switchfly, OpenJaw, PlusGrade, of course, Routehappy, new products from OTAs and GDSs, and IATA's new distribution capability standards initiative have all cropped up in the last few years to make all this differentiation work. I've been in the industry for a while, and I've never seen the level of cooperation that is happening now between airlines, distributors, and platforms to transform flight shopping. It was not very long ago when airlines and distributors were at each other's throats to get a larger slice of the pie. That image was an IATA hackathon where developers came together with the industry to create innovative solutions. So the big takeaway is actually a simple truth. Just like our everyday shopping behavior, flyers seek value more than the cheapest price. An example, I have a couple cousins who live in India. They were in New York recently complaining about their flight over, saying that this very good airline was, quote, going downhill. I asked them what they meant by that, and I discovered that what had happened is that they were on a 10-seat across 777, which can get a little crowded. I explained to them that they could have chosen a 9-seat across 777 had they chosen a different flight. They were absolutely shocked. They said, this information is not available. How did you know that? And they insisted that they would have changed their purchase decision and even paid more money for that experience. So there are so many reasons why it's more about value than it is the cheapest price. At the very top of the list, we all care about different things when we fly. We all want to find hidden gems that we didn't know about to improve our own experience. Some of us want to drink a martini and socialize at 30,000 feet. And I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I would gather that in this auditorium, there's a bunch of people who geek out on amenity kits. It's not just about the high end either. So a positive airport experience, a friendly smile and a welcome chocolate or two, and yes, you can take two, a good cup of coffee. Little things can matter a whole lot in flight shopping, such as extra legroom and extra recline for a price that you can afford, a new plane that makes people feel better with bigger windows and better air quality, a lounge that economy passengers can enjoy, an airline that focuses on innovative, tasty food, a cabin between economy and business that is not only more comfortable, but also serves food on China. Even an airline that you may have written off as just having old product is innovating and improving rapidly. There are 3.7 billion passengers boarded every year. If 25% of them were offered and bought incremental products that they valued for a mere, say, $50, that represents an incremental value creation opportunity in this industry of $45 billion. If it was 50% of them, it represents a value creation opportunity of almost $100 billion. These numbers are not unrealistic because the total revenue in the airline that airlines generate is over $700 billion a year. So flyers are ready and want differentiated products because it makes them happier. Airlines want to provide them, and the industry is finally ready to do it. There are some downsides, though. I've created a little bit of a monster in my mom, who never cared about these things. She now knows the difference between angle flat and lie flat business class, and lamented to me that she got an old plane on a flight to London recently. What I didn't tell her is that that's what happens on routes from Florida to London, and not from New York. My big fear now is that she's going to discover what direct aisle access means and start to call me even more than she does today. So the transformation of flight shopping from commoditized to differentiated has begun. While it may take a while, it's inevitable. But that's a good thing for both consumers and the industry. Happy flying.